I want to introduce my grandson Lou to you. He called me a few months ago about 9 o'clock one night to share some of the most marvelous news he'll ever be able to share, and that is that he had been saved. The next time he came over to my house, he sat down with me and he said that he had more of the story he wanted to tell me. And I said, well, good. Do you care if I record it? And he did not mind that I recorded it. And so today he was over here and I said, Lou, you know that your story, do you mind if I share it on my YouTube channel? And he said, go for it. So I'm so happy he felt that way, because I know it is going to bless a lot of you. I've already shared it with people off of the channel, so now maybe it'll go viral. It's a great story. God blessed him. God blessed me with it, and I'm still rejoicing and praising the Lord over this decision he made.
Lord, to about a month ago, I went to a Wednesday church with my friends at Cross Point, and they were like, and Andrew, the youth pastor, was like, y'all make sure to be signing up for the fall retreat. And people had mentioned it to me. They were like, hey, you should come, it'll be fun. And I was like, yeah, okay, maybe. And so time went on, and I just never did anything. Like, I never really signed up or nothing. And then the week before fall retreat, everybody was trying to convince me, and I was like, I don't know, dude, it's $200. I don't have $200 to spend just to go and have fun. Because like the only reason I would even go was because they were like, we'll have tons of free time and we can go and hang out and talk to people from other churches. It'll be fun, play basketball and stuff. I was like, no, I don't even believe in God. I don't have a reason to do that. And they just wanted me to come just because, I mean, we're pretty close friends. They just wanted me to be there to have fun with them. So he called me and he was like, hey, dude, I signed you up for fall retreat tonight, and somebody anonymous paid for you. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm coming now because somebody already paid for me. For the past 6 months or so, I've just just the type of person I am. I always need like a reason why. I need proof as to why anything works. And that goes like I told you, that goes for math. Like whenever a teacher teaches me a formula, I make that teacher give an extra 20 minutes and explain to me in depth why that formula actually works, like the math behind why it actually works. And that's just how my brain works. And I mean, looking back now, I think the Lord knows that that's how he made me. So I honestly think he gave me a special story to like really convince me. Past 6 months or so, you know, like every now and then I would just pray, and I didn't know who I was praying to, because it was hard for me to wrap my mind around it. Me talking to myself at night in a room alone, somebody could actually hear me, and somebody was actually listening and making stuff happen, making stuff line up. So I would pray, and I say pray. I'd be like, Lord, if you're real and you're out there, give me a sign. Like, I need something. Like, come to me in a dream. Come to me, like, make a ghost appear in my room while I'm laying in there one night or something. Just give me some type of proof. In there, and he talked about Hebrews 11, and he showed us that chapter in the Bible that was talking about faith. And it started piecing together, like, how, you know, there's some stuff that you just have to believe in. Like, God's not gonna appear to himself in your room and just be like, hey, I'm real. And that's where he talked about free will. That's where free will comes in. Like, if he did that, then it just wouldn't be the same. There's not a human on this planet that would ever, like, go through the torture and live the life that Jesus did for a lie. Like that's just not in human nature. Nobody would do that. Like, this was a big thing I really needed to hear. I mean, this in my mind, this was kind of like one of the things that like really flipped the switch. But he explained that there is scientific proof that there was a man that walked on this earth 2,000 or so odd years ago, and there was a real man that went by the name Jesus Christ that went to be the Messiah. That's a scientific fact. And he gave us some evidence that, like, I can't even really think off the top of my head right now, but when he told us, it made sense. And he told us that, and I was like, dang, that's pretty cool. I still don't believe that there's a God up there that created everything and that controls everything and hears every individual prayer. But he told us that, and I was like, well, that's pretty cool. Brought back in how he was talking about there was a man named Jesus Christ who was a real person that lived on this earth, and he claimed to be the Messiah. And he said, this sheet of paper right here, the reason I got you to color all these struggles in red is because Jesus' blood covers all of it. And when he said that, like, my heart like kind of dropped, and I was like, God, that's crazy to think about. If that's true, then that's crazy to think about. And as I was sitting there a little bit longer, I just started like thinking of stuff, and just like out of nowhere, like every sin that I've ever committed, I could feel the pressure of it just on my shoulders. Like I could physically feel the guilt of every sin I could ever think. And I was sitting there, and I was like, golly. And I just thought to myself, I was like, I mean, maybe this is just happening. It's just a little phase. I'm at church camp. That's just how you feel at church camp. And it's just I'm just feeling it because of that. And then we came in the next morning, Sunday morning, and we just kind of goofed off a little bit. Like the whole time everybody had been, he just dedicated that session to be like a question time, and everybody was like, is it a sin to do this? Is it a sin to do that? And he just read through the Bible where it talked about it. So that didn't really do much. And then that afternoon, Sunday afternoon, he talked more about faith. He talked more about Hebrews 11. And he said he was kind of just summing up everything that we had talked about for the past 7 sessions or so that weekend. He was like, to sum it up, you just gotta have faith in this type of stuff, because like, I mean, you'll never have true 100% proof that it's real, but you just gotta have faith in it. And then, and a big thing that I missed, Saturday night, me and my friend that also wasn't a believer or a true believer. He had been saved, but he was struggling. And Sunday night, we went out and we read the Bible, talking about Hebrews 11 and how, like, because we had just struggled in the fact that, like, there was really a God out there that loved us. But that was just what we struggled with. Like, it's just hard. Like, it's impossible. Like, even after being saved, like, it's just impossible to truly wrap your mind around the fact that there is a God out there that created everything, that loves you individually just as much as anything. And that's just what we struggled with, like, just being able to believe that, because it just seems crazy. And so we went in for worship time Sunday afternoon, and like we were sitting there, like they were worshiping, like with the music and stuff. And like I got that same feeling I got from Saturday night where like I just out of nowhere I could physically feel the guilt of every sin I could think I could remember, like everything. I felt like I killed somebody. Like I could physically feel like it was hard to breathe. My shoulders were just tensed up. My neck just felt like swollen. I was physically I wouldn't say pain, but I was physically uncomfortable. Like I felt like I killed somebody. That's the only way I could put it. I felt like I had murdered my brother. Like I just felt guilty. And I was sitting there, and my friend went into one of the rooms that we do our small groups in. Nobody was in there. The lights were off. And I went in there, and this was the friend that was also struggling with his faith. And we went in there, and like I just started crying, and I couldn't stop crying. Like I couldn't breathe, and it just like right then, I don't know why or how, but it just clicked that there's no reason that I would randomly be feeling all this guilt if there was not a God out there that was perfect and that was judging me. There's no reason I would just out of nowhere feel all this guilt. Cause I could, before this weekend, I could do anything and just not think anything of it. Like I could steal, lie, swear, judge other people, and I wouldn't think anything of it. And then all of a sudden, after I'd been explained to after these small group sessions and stuff, out of nowhere, I just felt all this guilt that I've never felt before. And I've said it 20 times. I felt like I killed somebody. I couldn't breathe. My eyes burned. Like it just hurt. And I sat in there and I just cried with my friend. And it just like out of nowhere, it just clicked in my heart that there was God that was perfect and pure and loved me more than not more than anything, but loved me as much as anything, and loved me more than any human could ever love me. And I felt like I was just letting him down. I felt that I wasn't good enough for him. And I knew, like right there, I just kind of like in my head, I thought I was ready to be saved, because I was sitting here crying over just bawling my eyes out over little stuff that I could think about. Because you can't. If I asked you right now, what sins have you committed today, you can't really think of much. But the sins that I had thought about was swearing, judging some people at the camp that day, like just laughing at people. And like just that little stuff made me feel that guilty. And then I knew that in my heart I believed that there was a Lord out there that loved me and I felt like I was disappointing him. And so our youth minister came in, he prayed over us, and I told him that I was ready to be saved. And I was still walking outside with as I was walking outside, I felt like the worst person who's ever walked the earth. Like I just felt terrible I couldn't even really think why. Just like, you know how you feel when like if you do something wrong and you just feel guilty about it. I just felt like that times 100. And I went out there and he said, repeat after me. And I repeated, I said, Lord, I know I'm a sinner. Can't think of it word for word. Lord, I know I'm a sinner. I believe that you are the one and only Lord that created me, blah, blah, blah. And like as soon as I did that, and he said, as soon as we finished the prayer where I confessed that I believed in God, he looked at me and he said, the youth minister said, now Lou, I know how you're feeling. I know that you feel like the guiltiest person in the world right now. And that was spot on. And he said, you just said that prayer and Jesus died for you, so you don't have to feel like this right now. He said it's okay to feel guilty, but you need to understand that the Lord came down and he sacrificed his own life. So you do not have to feel like this right now. Because he knows that you're a sinner, and he knows that there's pretty much nothing you can do about that. He knows that, that's just how, it's not your fault that you're a sinner, but you are. And he died for you so you could spend the rest of eternity with him. And when he said that, it just like, the guilt went away, just like that. Like out of nowhere, I just felt good. I was like, yeah, I guess so. And now looking back on it, whenever I said earlier that I feel like God I prayed to the Lord that he would give me a good sign to where I could just like be completely convinced and would have no reason, not be able to not believe in him. And now looking back on it, he did. Looking back, I was not gonna go, for one. It took my friend it took some anonymous person paying $200 for whatever. They just did. And I decided that I was going to go the night before, and I wasn't even going to go. So there's one thing. The second thing is the man that my small group leader, Mr. Todd, he wasn't going to go. And the same thing happened to him. That week that week he had decided to go. And then I talked to everybody else in other small groups, and they literally talked about completely different stuff than we did. Mm-hmm. Completely different stuff.
That was just
so looking back, it was God, it was the Lord leading this man to tell me what I personally needed to hear. The Lord reached down to this man, and he led him to have perfect small group lessons, to have perfect lessons to really explain to me what I needed to hear personally. Not all the other people, they may have grown closer, but those small group sessions were perfectly fit to what I needed to hear. And it's just there's some other stuff, but there's no way that everything lined up so perfectly that I wasn't even going to go, and I decided to go. The man, Mr. Todd, wasn't even going to go, and he decided to go. And then literally the small group lessons were customized to what my brain needed to know.
Sure. Wow.
So, awesome. Just looking back on it, it just was I have no reason to believe that it's not, that wasn't the Lord's doings. Yeah. Every single thing that I struggled with that held me back from believing in the Lord was discussed in those lessons, and in my brain made it to where one by one, those things that held me back were eliminated until the last group the second to last group session, when the last thing that I needed to hear was told to me, and it just hit me like a freaking train. Today's Monday. So that Friday night, I was going into church camp thinking, on the bus right there, I was like, this is dumb. I don't even believe in God. And the night I got saved, it was weird. I told you that before I was saved, I could legit do anything. I could steal, cheat, lie, swear, and I wouldn't think anything of it. And then like now, I mean, I was scrolling on TikTok and like let me just say this. Like before, I'd be sitting in school and I would say a cuss word and somebody would be like, they'd be like, or like we were sitting in church camp and I said a cuss word and they're like, dude, we're at church camp. Why would you say that? And I was like, say what? Like that's how easily it just came out of my head. Like I couldn't even remember doing it. Didn't even think about it. And now, like I was watching TikTok. I was watching TikTok Monday and they said a cuss word and I like felt guilty for even hearing it. Like I haven't, like Luke and Levi are in there saying cuss words and it just like, I feel bad for even hearing it. I feel like, Jesus, that's not me. and like along with that, like, the night I got saved, there was someone went into the cafeteria and went and stole Pop-Tarts out of the cafeteria, and I was like, I felt guilty for it. I was like, dude, don't do that. Please don't do that. Like, I felt guilty about watching them steal something. And they're like, and they said, do you want one? And I mean, it was my favorite Pop-Tart. It was brown sugar cinnamon. And I was like, any other time I would have been like, heck yeah. But like the fact that them things were stolen, just like, I couldn't take it. And it's just crazy how like in those 2 days, my life was completely turned around. Like completely. Like other people, it takes a process, but like I went from 0 to 100 in 2 days. And it's just crazy. And I see the world differently. Like I've been walking around and I was like, golly, the man that loves me more than anything created this.
I am not going to be able to shut my mouth in Sunday school Sunday. I've got to be praising the Lord. Oh, goodness, that was so awesome.
But yeah.
Yeah, God does work in different ways with different people.
Yeah.
I heard a sermon one time about God's bedside manner, how he has to work with some in different ways than he works with others.
Yeah. And I mean, like I'm not able to like put everything that happened, like the whole story into words. But I mean, when I would pray to the Lord, please give me a sign so I can follow you. It just like, I mean, he gave me a freaking sign. Like I can't explain in words how like everything that happened that made it to where like there's no way I could believe that it was a coincidence. Yeah. Like I said the highlights of it, but I mean all the there was so many more little things that were also in the story that I can't say just because like I can't think of them off the top of my head. But like
your mind, you just call me and tell me because I want to hear all of it.
Okay. There's just like, I mean, like I prayed, I said, Lord, give me something to where I can have it to where there's no doubt in my mind that you're out there, and He did it. And Pip-Paul called me today, and he told me, he was like, he just reminded me that like, hey, and when you pray, it's not gonna happen immediately. It's gonna come bit by bit, and then you'll look back after the fact and be like, dang, he answered my prayer. And I mean, that's what happened. Like, I mean, I was looking for a sign, and like that verse that I talked to you earlier about, try to grow closer to me and I'll grow closer to you. I mean, that happened. Six months ago, I was trying to grow closer to Him.
Yeah, you were seeking.
I was seeking Him, and I mean, He saw the perfect time in my life to do it at church camp, and I mean He made the story so dramatic that like, I mean, He did it perfect. He made it to where He pretty much made it as good to coming to me while I was laying in my room. Like he just did it so dramatic that there's no way that I could believe it was a coincidence. I mean, you got saved when you were younger than I was, but I'm blessed to have gotten saved because I know there's a lot of people that don't get saved until their 20s, 30s, and it's just like, I mean, it's a freaking terrifying thought to know that if you were to die today, you wouldn't go to heaven. Like, even if you don't believe in the Lord and you don't believe if there is heaven, it's a terrifying thought to not know what, or to not have any idea of what happens after you die. And like, that was like the biggest thing. Like, I'm just blessed to be able to be 15 years old and be able to not to know, just to not have to be terrified. Not like before, like used to. I mean, once a week, the thought of dying would pop into my head and it would freaking terrify me. Like, what happens? But I mean, now I know. I mean,
I wonder how people deal with it, because like you said.
I mean, just like I said, like you just like fall into the temptations of the world, and it makes you forget about death. You just follow it, you walk down the. It says in the Bible somewhere, you walk down the very, very wide road into the open gate of hell, and you just walk down it, and it's easy to forget that at some point you're gonna die, and you forget about that, and then every now and then you'll remember, oh shoot, I'm gonna die, and if I was to die right now, I'm not going to a good place. Yeah. And it's scary. Yeah.
Well, that further tells me that we Christians need to be in all of our daily conversation with everybody we meet in some way. We need to be planting seeds, in some way, be letting them know at least that we know Jesus is real.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why it took. I guess the Lord had it in his mind to where like he was gonna hit everything he had on me like a wave, so like it would give me a salvation story that I wouldn't never forget and that would really stick with me in my head. But I mean, the first thing I'm ever gonna tell my kids when they get old enough to like know, to really comprehend what I'm saying, is I'm gonna tell them that that it's a scientific fact that there was a man that went by the name Jesus Christ that claimed to be the Messiah, and that's not something that you have to put your faith in. That's not something that you have to try to that's not something you have to think is real. That's something that you can know is real. What you put your faith in is whether or not you believe that he was the Messiah.
Yeah.
And I mean, if I would have known that Jesus, like, I don't know why it took 15 and a half years for me to be told that Jesus Christ was a real human that walked this earth, and that's a fact. I don't know why it took this long, but I guess God, actually I do know why it took this long. God wanted everything to be told to me at the same time, so I could really have a clear sign. So I could have a very clear sign, so I would. Because I guess if it came piece by piece, it would I would kind of dismiss it. But the fact that all of this came at the exact same time, I just know that it's not a coincidence. I know that God lined it up on purpose.